Well, hello. Hello, everyone. Alan here. We're going to be talking about Plato. Yes, this is my 17th book that I've read in the Read What You Own challenge, which I'm doing pretty well. I think MJ's up to 20, and Greg's around, he's up there too. But I've been reading some big books, and like I mentioned in my other video, I needed a a cleansing of the palate, a palate cleanse, as it were. So I hadn't read Plato since I was at Kent State as an undergraduate student. And I always liked Plato much more than Aristotle, although Stephen Dedalus, in A Portrait of the Artist as a Young Man, gets into Aristotle, and also in the Prometheus episode 2 of Ulysses. I'm glad I checked that. I just checked that. It's episode 3 in Ulysses, Proteus, not 2. I thought I better check that. So, as I was saying, I have this in my library. I don't know where I picked it up at. I also got the audio of the dialogues of the Apology and Phaedo primarily, and then I also read Credo and Meno as well. That's what I'll be talking about them. Just briefly, as I said, I've forgotten more than I remembered. So let's get into this. Let's start with. Let's see. Where do you want to start? At the beginning. I don't know. Let's see. Let's start with the apology. And that's, apology means defense in Greek. And this is primarily Socrates' trial and death. His, the verdict of the trial is death. And he is executed by drinking hemlock. The old joke in grad school was Socrates was the first teacher to drink himself to death. Ha ha ha. But we have, he's on trial for two things: corruption of the youth and impiety. Impiety, he's like accused of being a traitor and disbelieving in the gods, which both of those are not true. Everything the accusers of the people of Athens that they're accusing Socrates of, they're guilty of. And Socrates is the pious man, the man who's in the right. He's the most innocent of anyone in Athens. A good example is The Clouds, Aristophanes' play where he makes a fool out of Socrates. So, yeah, not believing in gods. Ancient versus recent. Now, Socrates never took money for teaching his students, you know. Let's see, we have a note about, the oracle at Delphi. Slander against Socrates to teach, not for money, I said that. And the oracle was, someone asked, find a man wiser than yourself. Is there a man wiser than myself? And the answer came back, Socrates. And Socrates, of course, said, wiser than myself, I know nothing. Um, yeah, Socrates thought the philosophers were superior to politicians and poets and artisans. Prejudice against Socrates. I should just talk like off the top of my head. So Socrates is not afraid of death. He believes in the immortality of the soul, as Plato does too. Even in reincarnation, in fact, they believe that we don't learn new things. We just remember old things from our past life or from reincarnating in that in between time when we know everything, but then we're born and we forget more than we remember. Let's move on to Crito. Crito is an old man. Socrates is in prison now. He has a dream. Crito wants to save Socrates' life. And Socrates is the new Achilles. He's the new tragic hero now. He has an idea that he's going to be remembered after his death. The perfect mind and soul. We should think about the immortality of the soul, not the body. In fact, Crito asked Socrates, "What should we do with your body? What do you want us to do with your body after death?" Socrates doesn't care. He could care less. He doesn't give up. He really doesn't. And that's about it for that dialogue. It's real short. Meno, what is virtue? Can it be taught? Now, Meno is a nitwit. He's he won't exert himself mentally as a student. He was taught wrong by who was he taught by? I forget the name. I'll see if it pops up here, but he wasn't educated properly. In Socrates' mind, for Socrates and Plato, knowledge equals like it's mathematical. So Aristotle was more biological, you could say. Socrates wants examples of virtue. Memos ends up in a comical. These dialogues are very humorous, but he blames Socrates for his great ignorance because Socrates is making him think with these questions after questions. That's how, you know, he taught with the dialogues. Um, so, what else happens in this? What can we say about virtue? Uh, Socrates draws figures in the sand. I mentioned they're very mathematical, right? And I'm not personally. I've never taken algebra. Can you believe that? Yeah. 60 years old, never taken algebra. He teaches an uneducated, or he brings up an uneducated slave. I mean, it's kind of that's goes hand in hand. Slave boy, and who answers questions brought forth by Socrates because he brings them up from his soul. He remembers them from his soul, which is a strange way of looking at things, isn't it? We don't acquire new knowledge, we just remember what we already knew. Socrates runs down the politicians and the corruptions of the youth. He only wants to educate Athens, and that's the truth. Let's go on to Phaedo. Now, Phaedo is a discussion by Socrates upon the immortality of the soul. And this is the day before his execution, before he drank the hemlock. They're in the country. It's just him and Phaedo. They're not in Athens or a Roman city. Uh, and Phaedo was Socrates' student. His concubinus, which is a younger male sex slave who he mentored and tutored, and taught. It was common back in that time. Uh, so, the unexamined life is not worth living. This is on the death of Socrates. Where are my notes? And I don't have any notes. God, do I even remember this? Not very well, apparently. Um, Boy, this is embarrassing. I don't make notes. Uh, Believe me, I read through it. Damn. In my dotage booktube, I can remember things like in the past more than I can like yesterday. So I'm going to leave it at that. Uh, I enjoyed Plato and getting back into that and the representation of like the shadow on the cave wall and how this coffee cup is not a coffee cup. In fact, it's not even solid. It appears solid, but it is a representation of the ideal coffee cup. Things like that I enjoy about Plato. So I've droned on long enough. Uh, Make a comment if you want to educate me about Plato. Please do. I could use all the help I can get. So subscribe, and make a comment because I'll reply back to you. All right. Sláinte. Thank you.